So, I guess this is the beginning of the video. I have just returned from a trip up to North Thailand in Isan, and I shot some phone videos along the way. Nothing too great, but it should still be a somewhat fun adventure to watch, and we're going to enter this story with some footage that's decent foreshadowing for what would plague me the rest of the trip. Let's dive into it. Here we are at the mechanic shop. One of the only decent ones that I have come to find around this area. The name of the day today was fixing the air conditioner. Traveling through the tropics with no air conditioning is not fun. At the bottom of the screen here, you can see that device with two dials that just go on a frame. They use that to measure the pressure of the gas being put into the system to recharge it, and then up here is a little thermometer measuring the temperature coming out of the vents. Right here you can see some good examples of why I say this is one of the only good mechanic shops. They actually took their time to make sure the air conditioning was fixed correctly as far as they could then, as well as this other guy ran around and zip-tied a bunch of loose things that needed tidying up for no extra charge, just to be kind. Pretty great.
So I'm finally all packed up for my trip up north in Thailand. I'm excited for what I'm going to see. Wish me luck.
Here we are at the national park. We had actually arrived here an hour or so earlier, but had to wait until 6 a.m. to enter the park. So we spent some time looking around and eye-shining with our headlamps while it was still dark, looking for any animals that may be getting about. One other fun fact is that my friends I brought with me are both Thai, and it only cost them 40 baht each to enter the park, whereas it cost me 400 baht. We entered the park at right about 6 a.m. on the dot, and the first name of the game was to drive around and pay close attention to the roads, and especially some of these gutters they had on the side. We were pretty keen to see if we could find any animals first thing here before arriving at our campsite. And as luck would have it, it did not disappoint.
And cool, check this out. Here's our first find of the day. It's some sort of Sicilian. I'm not sure the exact ID. You can thank Noah, the cameraman right now, for spotting it.
Whoa. Over
here on the side of the road. Really interesting animal. It's one of the really unique species of reptile and amphibian. They're an amphibian, but they're not like, you'd think it'd be like a legless salamander or something, but it's not. It's its own unique, separate type of thing. Really handling it feels like what people imagine or describe snakes to be like. It's slimy and it kind of like extends and contracts a little bit like a worm, but it's not a worm and it's not a snake or anything else. It's a Sicilian, a unique type of amphibian, and they're super cool. Most species spend a lot of their time underground, though I'm unfamiliar with these, but I feel super privileged to get to see it. I can't wait to see what the rest of this park has to offer. Really awesome.
Next, we stopped at this little viewpoint to check things out, and there was a little surprise waiting for us. This ancient-looking millipede. Look how slow he moves and how segmented the different parts of his body is, and he looks almost like a living fossil or a piece of armor. It really reminds me a lot of the Arthropleura, a giant land millipede-type creature from the Carboniferous period.
Okay, so we just found that weird millipede thing. Well, Noah found it. He's over there getting some macro shots himself. He's marked up there dialing in his camera.
Another cool thing to see around were these massive walls of ferns that you would get just taking over an entire area of the vegetation in the jungle, kind of coming off the side of the slope. They had lots of depth and different layers of plants and different stages of life. I bet there are tons of critters living all up in here. Then we were back on the road, only to find that our next encounter would be of a more, let's say, mechanical nature.
So if I wasn't having car trouble, I don't know what I'd be doing, honestly.
So I decided, obviously, the only logical course of action was just to cut the damn thing off and toss her in the boot so we can get on with our trip and find some more animals.
So I've had some relatively major overheating problems in this turd, so time to try something drastic. And attempt to cut these zip ties that are holding this plastic cover for the grill on, and maybe we can get some more air up in there and help alleviate this clusterfuck of a situation.
So hopefully we're not stuck in the jungle.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Who needs it? Obviously we're taking it with us. We're in a national park. But that looks like a lot of cooling to me. Yeah! Part where we try not to burn ourselves.
Now that is some spectacularly hot water. I'm glad I didn't get burned. I had a thick towel.
Is that fuel?
No.
That's water.
Yeah.
Why is it green?
Film it. You get the good part.
I got a little bit of it. I think. Sorry, I wasn't sure what was happening. I was just like, I didn't want a big burp.
Well, with that calamity over, it was time to get back on the road again and head to this lookout that we had heard about and were told was quite beautiful. I also was keen to test and see if my J-rigged fix of removing the plastic grill indeed solved my overheating problems. Here's that view from the overlook. It was indeed quite nice, and down there at the bottom there's a little settlement that kind of reminds me of like that place where Professor X trains the mutants, you know?
Check this out. We got a vine snake as the second major find of the day, and he has this beautiful orange type color to him. Just a really amazing animal. They're super thin. They just try to spend their life living in trees, acting like a vine, basically. And you can even see the way he loves to hold his little tongue out like that to give himself an even more irregular structure to hide the fact that he's a snake even more. And when I release him, you'll see how just effortlessly they just glide over everything and move off into the bush. They're a weakly venomous species, but they rarely want to bite people. In the wild, you'll find them eating things like bugs and stuff, which is pretty unusual for a snake. Well, let's watch them slither away. This out. Big ass millipede, about 8 inches long or so, kind of like something you'd get at like the pet store. Hey little buddy. You don't want to get it in your mouth though, or in your nose or eyes. It's not exactly comfortable.
We then headed down toward the campsite. Along the way we saw some deer and a little bit of a view over by the campsite of water, but all in all, I found it to be a fairly underwhelming campsite that was overly manicured and overly restricted, so I didn't really record much as it kind of put me in a bad mood, except for a few interesting things, and we'll get to the first one, which was an awesome water monitor.
Look, he's getting angry. This is really cool. Are you gonna stand your ground and tail whip me? That'd be so cool. No, you're gonna do a runner? Come on. Ho ho, so cool.
These Asian water monitors truly are an amazing lizard. I've wanted to see them my whole life. They're huge, awe-inspiring, and beautiful. On average, they're about 6 feet or so, but the world record one was 10.5 feet or 3.21 meters and weighed in at nearly 100 pounds. They are some awesome animals.
Here's our next cool find, first one of the night, a pit viper, a first for me. I've seen a similar species, the white-lipped pit viper, in Indonesia, but the first one of this exact species. And they're beautiful to look at, amazing, and real fun to photograph because you can't take a bad picture of them. They're just so gorgeous. They're amazing. They have heat-seeking pits along your face to target their food and eat it in the middle of the night. They can see it in the dark and all that and track it. And then, you know, obviously venom to digest that with. And a bit longer fangs than your elapids, so your snake bandages aren't going to do quite as much good, but it's not as deadly either. It's more just a lot of necrosis and pain. A bug went in my ear. Well, we're going to turn him loose.
Here's just another quick Instagram shot of a slow loris. Spotted this guy by his huge eye shine. These guys are interesting and weird as far as mammals go. I'm pretty sure they have like venomous spurs on their legs or something. Here is a water bug, commonly referred to as a toe biter, eating a frog. They're pretty great predators with those big pincers and powerful mouth parts.
Check this out. Cicada actually coming out of his shell. Yeah.
Can't run from us now, can you, buddy?
You can't fly yet.
Here you can see another green arboreal pit viper. We found plenty throughout this night. Not sure of the exact species, but I think we found 2 species.
And yet another viper.
And here you can see another one, and how bright that green shows up in a headlamp at night in a tree.
Oh, it's time for bed. Check out the weird array. So there's Noah, Will, Mark, and I'm in this thing. You forgot something.
And thus concludes the story of the first day of the trip. After editing it, I've realized that I left in a lot of shots from Instagram that I forgot to record properly on my phone, and that I probably should have added in other stuff like shots of the campsite and what happened in between places. Like I mentioned, the campsite was underwhelming and not that great, so I didn't really feel like recording it, but I probably should have. It would have been funny. It was basically just like a park that you take your kids to with a bunch of manicured grass and stuff, where you're told you can't go off that, you have to camp on it, and all the types of activities people would normally do while camping are banned. No fire, no alcohol, no noise, no getting away from people, no going off the path. It's a bit of an odd arrangement, but we were able to sneak away and find some animals still. It's just a bit of extra information about what went down. Any rate, I will see you guys next time. There's probably 2 videos left of Trip to Show. Bye till later. Thanks for watching.